Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my channel. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me today. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and check out my other videos on the channel. If this is your second or third time or fourth time being here, thanks so much for coming back and checking out my videos. I'm really proud of you for painting at home. In today's video, we're going to do one of these Vangogh sunflowers. And again, this is perfect for my first time and beginner painters. And it's really kind of nice when you do an old master painting and then kind of compare it to the original and then maybe do this painting in 4 or 5 years again. So that way you can kind of see where your skills have improved over the time frame. So it's always nice to study from the masters. And Van Gogh is actually one of my favorite painters. Van Gogh and Monet, really enjoy them. In the description box below, you're going to see a link for a supply kit. And in that supply kit is everything that you need for this particular painting. So check out the supplies that you need, gather what you need, and then pick up this video where you left off. Another thing that you're going to see there is a link for a traceable. And a traceable is a way for you to get your initial image on your canvas before you even start painting. And for my first time painters, this is a really useful tool to break down and take away some of that original stress or beginning stress before you even start painting. So take a look at the traceable. There's also going to be a link for how to transfer your traceable to your canvas. So check out both of those and apply it to your canvas. If you do not want to use a traceable, you can pause the video after I've done doing the outlines and pause the video, focus what you see on the screen and draw that on your canvas. There are many ways to get your composition on your canvas before you even start painting. So definitely check those out. And then when you are done with this painting and maybe painted a few more paintings, I want you to jump over and check out my online school, paintwithlovejoy.com. And the online school is to help you at home kind of take your skills to the next level. It's awesome that you're checking out the free videos, and I want you to do as many of those as you feel comfortable with. But when you look at my school, I want you to check out my Paint Your Pet course. And when you paint something that you love, you learn even more. And the course is geared towards first-time and beginner painters, and I've had people go through the course for probably the last 7 years here in the studio, and all of my students have impressed themselves with what they created with the simple steps that I've broken down for the process of painting your pet. So please check that out, take your skills to the next level, and keep on painting. It gets more and more fun the more that you paint. Actually, I think that's enough talking for now. Let's go ahead and start painting. Alright guys, this is going to be another fun painting, so gather all your supplies, make sure you turn on your favorite music, and as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now in today's painting, once you have your traceable transferred to your canvas, you've got two options. I do recommend option number 1 just because it'll be really good practice. But you're going to go over the outlines with black paint and your pointy brush, and I want you to play with the pressure of your brush. Light pressure is going to create small skinny lines. More pressure is going to create fatter lines. And it's okay if you have varying widths in your on your painting after going over the traceable. If you are pressed for time, you can do option number 2, which is going to be using a black Sharpie just to go over those lines, and it kind of keeps your composition on there. You also have a third option if you want to skip this step and leave it with just the traceable and go right into painting. You can avoid having to do the 2 layers that we'll do with paint. So again, a couple of options: black pointy brush and paint, Sharpie marker, or no outlines at all. That gets to be your call. All right. And whichever option that you choose, once you've kind of gotten that done and you're ready to move into the painting portion, we're going to be mixing our paint for our background color. So we're going to start with light blue for everywhere that there's not petals and not a leaf. So to start with the light blue, you're going to start with white, add a tiny amount of blue to get to the shade of light blue that you see on the screen or the shade of light blue that you want to use. Now you do have the option, if you want to change out and do a teal background or purple or a completely different color, go right ahead. And I do recommend that if you chose the painting option, that you make sure your black paint is dry before you move into painting your background. And if you have to make your background color a second or third time while you're doing this, don't stress about getting the exact same shade. Having a little variety is to your benefit. And if you overlap those black lines a little bit, that's okay. And if you happen to paint over a petal with your sky color, that's okay too. You can apply your yellow and raw sienna paint on top of the background once it's dry. If you're holding your breath right now, take a deep breath and relax. I'm really proud of you for painting at home. All right, so pause the video, take a progress photo. We're going to move into the center of the sunflower, and we're using raw sienna. And I'm using just the direct color, we haven't mixed it with anything, and you can see that I am applying it kind of thick. And if you're using student grade paint, I want you to do the same thing. Apply it pretty thick on there, and it'll give us a slight more opaque coverage. But you will see in this video, we're actually going to go, we're going to do 2 layers of all of our colors except the background. And that will give us a bit more opaque coverage, and it also kind of helps build some depth and some layers. So depending on what type of paint you're using, if you're using artist grade paint, you might not need to do the second or third coat that we do. All right, so we're moving into burnt sienna, and using the direct burnt sienna, we're applying it right on top of the raw sienna while it's still wet. And you'll notice that as you apply it on top of the wet paint, your darker color is going to mix a little bit with it and lighten up and change some colors. So this is called a wet on wet blending method. All right, now we're grabbing again just the direct raw sienna and kind of holding the brush perpendicular, just using the tips of the bristles to get that center circle for our sunflower on there. And again, just using the brush perpendicular and light pressure as we kind of blend it into that raw sienna with this darker color. And again, make sure you take a deep breath. You're doing a great job. So proud of you for painting at home. All right, so here you can see I grabbed the direct yellow, and while the raw sienna is still wet, doing that same method, holding the brush perpendicular to the canvas and just kind of stabbing that color into the wet raw sienna paint. Again, this is called wet on wet blending, and it is a lot of fun. All right, just need to add a little bit more. All right, so now we're actually going to make a new mixture. We're going to be mixing yellow and raw sienna together, kind of making kind of a dirty yellow or a mustardy yellow. And we're going to start moving into the petals of our sunflower. Now we will be overlapping those black lines, and again I recommend that you apply your paint a little bit thicker if you're using student grade paint. Alright, so again we're using the yellow and raw sienna mixture, and again if you have to make it a second or third time, don't stress about an exact shade. We are going to be mixing this quite a bit and applying it to all the petals. We will be building on the wet on wet method, so you'll see once we kind of get a few of our yellow and raw sienna mixture petals filled in, we're going to go on top of it with raw sienna for a darker shade, just like you did in the center of the sunflower. So I am trying to have these skills that we can build upon and you get more and more practice with. So again, still using that yellow and raw sienna mixture, filling in the petals at the bottom of the canvas. Again, it's okay if you go over those black lines. But maybe the next time you go to a museum and you see an old masterpiece, you'll have a different appreciation for it once you start painting a little bit. All right, so now we're going to grab that raw sienna by itself, and we're applying it directly to the mixture of the petals. And again, just like the center of the sunflower, we're mixing it in with that base color already on the canvas, and then introducing the other color that we're putting on top of it. using light pressure just to blend it in with the bottom color. Alright, so going back to the yellow and raw sienna mixture, we're going to be moving up the side of the canvas, putting the petals colors on here. Again, recreating that exact same method, putting the base color of the raw sienna in yellow, and then we're going to put some raw sienna on top of this for some shadow. And as you can see on the screen, the black lines are still shining through because my student grade paint is very transparent. So we will be doing a second and third coat on top of this. All right, so moving into the raw sienna, same thing, kind of bottom of the petals, imagining where the shadow might be, where the petals are overlapping each other. And then going back to the yellow and raw sienna mixture for more. Here we go. And again, globbing it on kind of thick. You don't have to be super exact. You can be a little sloppy, and sometimes that's the fun of it. Because remember, the Van Gogh paintings had a lot of movement. There were actually a lot of dots and dash marks that he was applying to the canvas with his thick oil paint. So don't take yourself too seriously when you're doing this painting. In fact, if you actually do it a little bit faster than you're comfortable with, you'll get through it, get to kind of where we have the underpainting, and it starts feeling better when there's no white space of the canvas showing through. So you're doing a great job, and it does come together in the kind of the final finishing details that we do at the end. Alright, so again, going in with that raw sienna by itself, applying it right on top of the mixture. Again, getting more and more comfortable with your wet on wet blending. And another thing that you're getting comfortable with as you go through the video is you're strengthening your power of observation. As you look on the screen and watch what I do, and then you translate that to your canvas, you're strengthening what you see and then what you're doing with your actions. And again, that's another kind of valuable art skill. All right, so pause the video, take a progress photo. We're going to move into green paint, and we're going to put the stems and kind of the base leaves on our sunflower. And again, you can see as I'm applying the paint, my green is rather transparent. We will be putting colors on top of this, and we will be doing a second coat a little bit later on. All right, so again, apply it kind of thick. You're doing good. And now we are at what we call our underpainting. If you happen to have painted one of your leaves yellow like I did, go right on top of it with your green. It's totally okay to do that. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. We're going to grab some raw sienna and go right on top of that green. Again, just giving a darker kind of shadow element to the foliage, the green stem and leaves on our sunflower. All right, and then you can also grab some direct yellow. We're going to put a little highlight on the stem. And again, just putting that yellow right into that wet green paint, and you see how quickly it kind of gets absorbed. So you kind of just place it on there, move your brush quickly, and then that's about it. Don't move your brush too much. All right, so we're going to go for some burnt sienna now, and applying one more darker shade right on top of the green. And again, you'll see how the green mixes a little bit with that burnt sienna. All right, pause the video, take a progress photo. We're going back to our yellow and raw sienna mixture, and we're going to start putting the second layer on top of our petals. And again, I still want you to apply your paint kind of thick because you're using student grade paint. And we're going to be implementing the same method where we put this base color of the yellow and raw sienna, and then we're going to go in with some darker raw sienna and some yellow for our highlights. So building on your skills, you're doing a great job. And I do recommend, oops. All right, so again, here we're going to grab that straight yellow paint, pretty thick, placing it right on top of the mixture. And you can notice a little bit of a difference where we're placing the yellow. This is our highlight. And then using light pressure, blend it in with that mixture underneath. And you will notice as we do our second layer, because the first layer is dry, it's why we actually have to put the second layer in, so we have a base to mix with, a base to do our blending. So if you were using watercolor and applied another layer on top of it with the water on your brush, you could start to pick up that first layer of pigment. So acrylic paint is rather nice in the fact that it dries pretty solid and you can do the layering that we're doing. You're doing a great job. So again, going in with our yellow, adding our highlights on top of this mixture. Again, applying it kind of thick and a light pressure with the brush to do a little bit of blending. All right, and moving down to the pointy brush, we're mixing raw sienna and burnt sienna to make a slightly darker color. I want one more darker shadow in there, and using, like I said, the smaller brush and light pressure, putting one more intense shadow where all these petals are overlapping. And as you're working on these second layers for these petals, do make sure that you're going over the black lines, covering them completely, and applying it a little bit thicker. And if you need to go over the background color to make your tips of your petals a little pointier, go right ahead and do that. And if they end up overlapping a couple of the other sunflowers, that's okay. You're kind of making this your painting. So if you want to adjust and change, or it ends up kind of morphing on its own, that's okay. That's just your painting style for today. All right, so going back to the center of the sunflower with the burnt sienna, and we're going to put a second layer on there. And again, this is going to make it a little bit thicker. Less of those brush strokes are going to show up. And still using that kind of same method, that stabbing method, making a bunch of overlapping dots as we put our second layer on the center of the sunflower. Now grabbing some raw sienna, same application, just kind of stabbing the canvas using the tips of the bristles, blending a little bit with the darker color with your wet on wet that you're learning how to blend today. So you're doing great. I do tell all my students in class that what you're learning today will make more sense the next time that you paint because you're learning it for the first time right now. All right, here we grabbed a little bit of black using that same stabbing method, putting it into the darker areas for the middle of our sunflower. And you can see how it kind of changes and lightens just a little bit as that black and that dark brown are mixing. All right, clean your brush really good. We're going to go to yellow paint, same application, putting a bit of a highlight value on here. And again, you can see how quickly that yellow dissipates into the other colors. But hopefully you're starting to see now that with a second layer of acrylic paint, how much thicker and richer your painting is looking. All right, I'm using white paint, doing the same thing that we just did with the yellow, but that white paint's actually going to disappear even quicker. So if it disappears too much, just repeat it so a little bit of that white is showing. Great job, you guys. All right, so going back to the yellow and raw sienna mixture, we're going to work on the rest of the petals. And we'll be doing the same thing, putting that base color on, and then adding our raw sienna and then yellow for the highlight. All right, you're doing a great job. Again, you're just observing what you see on screen and mimicking it a little bit on your canvas. And we are using a very simple color palette. All right, like I was saying earlier, you get more comfortable with more practice. So I highly recommend that you find a creative outlet on a monthly basis for yourself. I tell my students that the world's not getting any less stressful, so it really is up to you to kind of find your stress relieving activities in your world. And I do hope that painting can be one of them, because it's nice to just kind of switch gears of your brain, do something different, and then go back to work and maybe realize you're a little more relaxed, or maybe you've worked through a idea or concept that you were struggling with, and then it makes for a better work day. So please try to find creative outlets as often as possible. All right, and again, as you're painting this, I'm going to encourage that you get out of your chair, walk away from your canvas from about 5 to 10 feet away and look at the difference. This 5 to 10 feet away is more of the normal viewing distance for most things in life, and especially artwork. So start kind of getting in the habit of doing that while you're creating. All right. Moving into that straight yellow paint, putting on some of the highlights for our petals. And again, these are going to be a bit more of the petals that are in front of the other petals that are the light is hitting first. And you can see how thick I'm kind of slapping it on there and then just moving it into the underlying wet paint. You guys are doing great. I'm so proud of you for painting at home. Right, and if you kind of feel inclined to put your highlight yellow or any color really in a place that I don't put it, go right ahead and do that. I do want you to trust your instincts. All right, so now going back with the burnt sienna and pointy brush, we're going to define a few of these petals. So do kind of notice strategically where I do place these on the canvas. And there's just tiny little strokes, light pressure, and they kind of radiate from the center of the sunflower. Kind of imagining that each of these petals kind of gets a little bit skinnier as it attaches to the center of the sunflower. And this darker color kind of pushes that area back to where the lighter color of the yellow brings it forward as we're observing it. All right, and again, remember to kind of step away from the canvas, look at it from that distance. Do you maybe need a darker shadow somewhere that you missed? Do you need to pause the video and see where I placed some shadows or highlights? Again, you're strengthening your power of observation. All right, so now grabbing some of that white, we're going to put some final highlights on our petals. And just like when you applied the yellow into your wet raw sand and yellow mixture, apply it kind of thick, and then you're moving your brush with light pressure to blend it in with the wet paint underneath. And again, your muscles and your brain are learning a lot right now. When you go to do another wet on wet blending painting, you'll remember this one and you'll be much more comfortable at doing it. So again, the more that you practice, the more comfortable you get with the process and the more your muscles remember. Same with mixing your colors. The more you mix paint, the more your brain remembers how to make specific color combinations. So if you can't tell, I'm trying to encourage you to paint more. All right, so going back to the green, doing one more coat on top of the stems. And again, applying it kind of thick in there, reshaping the points of the petals if needed. You're definitely in the home stretch of the painting. You guys have done a great job today. And if you are curious about artist grade paint, I do recommend that maybe one color at a time when you run out, grab the artist grade and then just see the difference between the two paints. All right, guys, great job. I am so proud of you for painting today. Van Gogh's proud of you for painting. So keep up the good work, and until next time, cheers. Hey guys, I hope your paintings turned out really nice. I hope you enjoyed the process, and I have no doubt Van Gogh is proud of you for painting at home. I'm proud of you for painting at home. Please try to find a creative outlet on a monthly basis. Your future self will thank you for painting and starting today. As you're uploading your pictures to social media, please tag me at paintwithlovejoy or hashtag paintwithlovejoy, or even email them to me, paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. It is so much through your feedback, your pictures, your response, the viewer watch time that I see on the YouTube channels, that really kind of encourage me to keep making more videos and producing the things that you guys want. So let me know how it's going. Send me your feedback. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you want me to paint in the future. But you guys definitely have encouraged me thus far to continue with the channel and to keep on going. So let me know how it's going at home. All right. And again, remember, check out my online school when you're ready to take your skills to the next level, or just to check out more videos, paintwithlovejoy.com. And again, please keep finding ways to paint at home. You're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you. Until next time, cheers.